Running a family business, service is everything.
Miller's touting his auto business, but look under the hood. The service is shameful. Miller's company has been accused of dangerous and reckless activity involving cars, selling cars with known malfunctions and undisclosed accident records, even delaying important vehicle repairs. Chris Miller's company put customers in danger. We just can't risk him as governor. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. We send them to school to learn reading, writing, and math. But Chris Miller's education plan risks woke liberal ideologies making their way into the classroom. Miller wants to take control of schools away from local communities, handing control to unknown bureaucrats instead of parents and local leaders. Chris Miller risks their future in the hands of woke liberals. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
West Virginia, the highest rate of fentanyl deaths in the country, but Chris Miller is ready to decriminalize all drugs at the epicenter of a national crisis. And instead of cracking down on fentanyl, Miller's ready to decriminalize all drugs, making it easier for fentanyl to fall into the wrong hands. Chris Miller, unwilling to fight the fentanyl crisis, unfit to serve as governor. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Chris Miller is a multimillionaire, but his businesses still took more than $3 million in COVID relief loans forgiven at taxpayer expense. And Miller's Congresswoman mom voted for the program that handed her son's businesses millions. Worse, $3 million's the amount Miller has given his campaign. Chris Miller, taxpayers lose because Miller always puts himself first. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Chris Miller, the most anti-Trump candidate for West Virginia governor. Miller mocked Trump's border wall.
Get out there with a shovel and start digging a moat. We'll put the wall behind the moat all around the country.
Miller mocked Trump's intelligence.
I am the winner, therefore we will win. Take 213.
President Trump needs loyal allies, not backstabbing Trump haters like Chris Miller. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
He, him, she, her, they, them. When Chris Miller was a board member at an in-state university, he looked the other way as pro-transgender events happened on his watch. Drag shows, a transgender homecoming gala, and even, quote, a trans closet that provided items to support sex changes for students. Chris Miller protected they, them, not us. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Chris Miller wants you to think he's a real tough guy. But have you met Chrissy Miller, a board member at an in-state university? She looked away as pro-transgender events happened on her watch. Drag shows, a transgender homecoming gala, and even a trans closet that provided items to support sex changes for students. Chrissy Miller, a real friend for transgender rights. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Used car salesman and former tough guy Chris Miller acts like he's always been with Trump.
And like Trump, I come from business.
But Miller mocked Trump to make a buck, running sleazy ads mocking President Trump's border wall and intelligence, all to sell cars and line his pockets. Because with Chris Miller, it's Chris and money first, President Trump and West Virginia last. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I'm Chris Miller. And like Trump, I come from business.
Except President Trump is one of the most successful businessmen on the planet. And Chris, you're a sleazy used car salesman whose company's been accused of putting customers in danger. You mock Trump to make a buck, running trashy ads attacking President Trump's border wall and intelligence. Chrissy, stop with the worst insult. You are nothing like Trump. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
More Capito, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Capito's making it harder on all of us. Moore's own law firm supported Joe Biden's coal-wrecking and job-destroying green energy bill. And Capito won't stop voting to raise our taxes. The gas tax, the car sales tax, DMV fees. Liberal More Capito, destroying our jobs, taxing us into poverty. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
More Capito talks big about being pro-Trump, but Trump Jr. doesn't think he's MAGA material. Donald Trump Jr. wrote MAGA, send a message to the Ukraine First rhinos and oppose More Capito for West Virginia governor. Trump Jr. knows that Capito isn't tough enough to put America first and lock down the border. President Trump needs more than weak liberal rhino More Capito as governor. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Liberal More Capito tried to put our children in terrible danger. More Capito co-sponsored legislation to protect woke counselors who push young children to undergo gender transitions. Instead of protecting our children, More Capito protected the very monsters encouraging children to undergo conversion surgeries. Liberal Rhino More Capito, a champion for transgender rights, a dangerous and evil threat to our kids. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Our next governor has to keep the radical transgender agenda out of West Virginia. But liberal rhino More Capito sponsored legislation to protect woke counselors who push young children to undergo gender transitions. Capito even pushed a bill banning doctors from detransing kids. Liberal rhino More Capito showed us his true colors. Capito just won't stop the radical left because he's one of them. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Will you vote for President Trump? It's a simple question.
So you'll vote for him no matter what?
More Capito ignored the question. It's no surprise Donald Trump Jr. wrote, MAGA, send a message to the Ukraine First rhinos and oppose More Capito for West Virginia governor.
So you'll vote for him no matter what?
More. It's a simple question. Unless you're voting for Joe Biden. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
What's wrong with Mac Warner? President Trump wrapped up the Republican nomination months ago, but Mac Warner still refuses to endorse President Trump. Warner, when you won't stand with President Trump, you're standing against securing our southern border, against crushing the woke transgender agenda, against beating Joe Biden. Failed career politician Mac Warner can't be trusted because Mac Warner fails to stand with President Trump. Black Bear PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.